Well, good evening. It is election night in Oregon. We are tracking the key races right here on KGW Plus, including the biggest school bond in Portland history, nearly $2 billion. And tonight, the voters, including some of you, have weighed in. Catherine Cook's tracking reaction to the big measure that right now is on track to pass. We'll show you just how close it is. And while turnout appears to be sluggish, more on that in a bit, results are pouring in across the Portland metro and beyond. Political analyst Annie Ellison with me at the desk, looking at the data and ready to share what story or stories all of it tells tonight. Thank you for joining us for this special election night edition. I'm David Molko with key results right now scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And let us begin with the most closely watched measure in the Portland metro, that $1.83 billion bond renewal for Oregon's biggest school district. The first batch of results showing this is on track to pass, with roughly 54% giving it a thumbs up, 46% saying no. A reminder, these are early and unofficial, though we estimate they represent about half the total ballots cast in the race. Let's bring in Catherine Cook at an election night watch party with supporters of the measure in Southeast Portland. Catherine, the school district already declaring victory here. What is the mood like right now?
Boy, David, a lot of cautious optimism. People are excited and relieved. Supporters of this bond renewal campaigned hard, especially down the home stretch, saying they had to pass this for kids' sake. Still, they knew a lot of folks questioned this second bond, the renewal. They thought maybe people weren't going to pass it, saying this was too big of an ask and they weren't going to do it for a second time. With that in mind, this was the reaction. of supporters as the first numbers came in. A lot of those cheers were from parents, many whose kids attend one of the 3 high schools that the bond renewal will really impact. Most of the $1.83 billion will cover major rebuilds of Jefferson, Ida B. Wells, and Cleveland high schools. Last night, supporters rallied outside Cleveland for last-minute votes. They believe rebuilding these schools will create a safer and more comfortable learning environment for the kids and hopefully boost enrollment. Remember, PPS enrollment has dropped by around 11% since 2019. A good portion of funding will also go to seismic improvements at schools district-wide.
We have critical needs in our buildings with our infrastructure. The remodel and redesign of our schools are extremely important. And it's also important that we address some of those failures, like the heating and cooling system, seismic upgrades. And so the passage of this bond means that that's the work that we're going to be able to do moving forward.
And because this is a bond renewal, taxpayers within Portland Public Schools won't see a tax increase because of it. Right now, property owners are paying around $2.50 per $1,000 of assessed home value for the bond. And one more thing, the school district's proposed $2 billion budget for next year, which board members approved last night, was created on the assumption that this bond was going to pass. So guys, just one more reason why folks here tonight are breathing a huge sigh of relief. David.
Yeah, 54% in favor as of the early count. Thanks, Catherine. Catherine Cook in Southeast Portland. We'll check in back with you a little bit later. Let's talk about the Portland Public School Board now with 4 of 7 seats on the ballot. They represent districts, but the vote here is citywide in Zone 1. Christy Splitt is far out in front here with 77% of the vote. Splitt has worked as a high school teacher and in the Oregon legislature and was appointed to the seat 3 months ago. Keep in mind the winner here will only serve 2 years since they are filling the remainder of a term. Let's go to Zone 4. It looks like incumbent Herman Green is on track to lose his seat. Rochelle Chase Miller, who's earned the teachers union endorsement, is out in front with 56%. Green has been on the board since 2021. Chase Miller there has a background in early childhood education and is the director of the Smart Reading program. Okay, to Zone 5. This is an open seat. Virginia LaFord, a marketing strategist and PPS parent, is leading there with about 55% of the vote. She's facing off against Jorge Sanchez Bautista, 18 years old, and a senior at McDaniel High School. We spoke with LaFord before results started coming in about what she would bring to the seat.
Spent about the last 15 years here in Northeast Portland, and I've been a longtime champion for students, and I'm also a mom. We have a lot of big problems that need some experience.
Okay, let's talk about Zone 6. Stephanie Engelsman is leading with more than 78% of the vote. This, by the way, is Multnomah County Commissioner Julia Brim Edwards' seat. Engelsman, a public defender and PPS parent, and is also endorsed by the teachers union. Let's hop over to Beaverton now, where the district narrowly avoided a teachers strike earlier this year. We have 4 school board seats up there, 3 of them competitive. In Zone 1, Van Trong far out in front, leading with 52% of the vote. Trong has been an educator and education consultant and got several high-profile endorsements there. Zone 2, it looks like board chair Karen Perez de Silva will hold on to her seat. You're looking at her leading with 68% right now. De Silva served for 2 years as board chair. Before she taught in the Beaverton School District for 16 years. And finally to Zone 5, a bit of a closer race here with Aaron Hatch leading Syed Qasim by about 7 percentage points, give or take there. Hatch has served as a board member at the Arco Irish Spanish Immersion School for 5 years. Qasim there is a tech consultant. Let's also talk about taxes, right? Elephant in the room, so to speak, in Washington County. Voters weighing in on a $421 million bond. This is in Tigard-Tualatin, one that would raise property taxes to replace or renovate 5 schools. This is a close one so far. It looks like just over 51% of voters there have rejected the measure. In other words, though, still too close to call. Okay, I want to bring in Annie Ellison now. She's a political analyst who works with Democratic candidates, including one of the candidates, winning candidates, I should say, or leading candidates in the school board race. We'll talk about that tonight. It's great to have you here on a very different kind of election night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's start with that Portland Public School bond here. $1.83 billion with a B. The yeses leading with 54% to no 46. We're going to talk about the margins as well. This is as close as that measure has been, or a bond rather, in Portland Public Schools has been since it failed in 2011 at 51% saying no. So this is close. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, 54-46, don't get me wrong, if that's healthy, the bond is going to pass. It's a lot less than in the margins it passed by in the past, right? In 2012, it passed with 66. In 2017, 66. 2021, 74. So the enthusiasm is down.
And there you see where it failed in 2011. They redid it in 2012, which we thought might happen in this case too, but it looks like it's still on track here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's the appetite for it has shrunk, but I think what you see here is, you know, Multnomah County we'll grumble and complain about paying taxes, but we're compassionate, creative, you know, people who want to see our schools funded. I also think that the awareness raised, you know, by the T-shirt strike, say what you will about it.
And the awareness by the district. I mean, you know, you've got the leaflets here showing, you know, this is what we're going to do with the upgrades. We're going to make these seismic upgrades. There was a sort of questions from the Oregonian Willamette Week. Well, Oregonian initially said vote no, then they said it was yes reluctantly, and then it was yes. Willamette Week was no.
Yep.
But the communication and transparency, you think, was enough to get this through?
I mean, I think that it has sunk into the average voter that we got a problem in our schools, right? Like the I can even remember their chants, like the rats, mold, hot, cold, right? Like it's sunk in.
So the
right?
test scores and everything else we're talking about, the infrastructure as well.
And I think, you know, people realize that, you know, we need to build high schools that people want to send their kids to, that they want to go to.
I want to ask you about the school board race here.
Yeah.
This is Zone 4. It's between incumbent Herman Green and the challenger Rochelle Chase Miller, a literacy advocate, backed by the Teachers Union. You have also been working with her. I don't know if you would call this an upset. Right now, she's leading with 57% against 43%, the incumbent. What do you make of that?
I mean, given that incumbents win 95% of the time, I'd call it a pretty big upset. You know, 57, that's a lot. That's a, you know, to me, if it's more than like 3 points, it's a shellacking. You know, this isn't close, is what I would say. That said, you know, how do you win a race? Raise money, raise votes, you know, do your diligence, do your homework. And, you know, from what I could see, Rochelle's campaign, you know, she was raising money, spending money, talking to voters, and there wasn't a ton coming out of Commissioner Green's campaign.
And it probably didn't hurt that she was endorsed by the union.
Correct,
as well,
but yeah, it's money,
candidates,
votes, and press, right? They've spent money and sent out mail and told voters who to vote for.
Hey, I want to ask you about taxes and sort of the appetite and the bigger trends too, but first I want to look at a couple other key results here if we can run through these. I think we have Mount Hood Community College starting with that, if we can pull that up. Do we have that, folks? Going to pull it up. There it is. Okay, so this is the community college bond measure for Mount Hood Community College. First in 50 years, I think, for that. And it looks like voters are poised to reject that again. I want to caution these are early numbers. About half the vote of total ballots cast, we think, is what's being represented here. So that's a no there. I think we have a few others. Forest Grove, Tigard-Tualatin here on the other end. If we can just run through those. What are we looking at? Salem. So this is the levy for Parks and Rec, meant to help save some jobs there, avoid cuts at libraries, parks maintenance. This just reported in. It looks like the numbers have changed a bit, is on track to pass there. I think we have Forest Grove or Columbia County, if we go to those. So this is an interesting one because this was rejected twice by voters last year. The sheriff basically made a plea saying, if you don't pass this, we're going to have to close the jail and rent beds in other counties. So this looks like it's on track to pass. And I think the final one is a levy, a new bond measure in Washington County for Forest Grove to replace the police facility.
That is close.
That's new. That's neck and neck there again. Too close to call there. It's sort of a mixed bag. The margin's really close. In Portland, you have Tigard-Tualatin voters there appearing to reject that levy, though that's close. Forest Grove, neck and neck. What does it say about, if anything, about voter appetite for renewing taxes or new taxes at this point?
I mean, so Salem passing the parks bond, you know, that seems, and Portland seems kind of to be the outlier. But you know, it's that uncertainty. It's that. You know, people are uncertain about what's going to happen, what's happening with the economy, what's happening with their jobs. Like, you know, there's a lot of newness, right, with the coming down from the federal government.
When you say uncertainty, you mean the President Trump and his policies,
Yeah.
federal cuts, all of that,
Yeah.
how it trickles down to education, how it trickles down to everything.
Yeah, and I would say like 54%, like this is 20 points lower than in 2021, right? So Trump 1.0, right? That would have been the 2017 election.
We're talking about the Portland Public Schools bond here and how wide that margin is.
Yeah, so we're down 20, right? So that to me, that's information.
Just really quick here before we go, I just want to ask you about voter turnout, because in Multnomah County, it's hovering around 18% as of this afternoon. This is a chart that shows where it was in May special elections in previous years. So everything from up in the 30s, 40, 18, 31, 16, 25, and 30. So really, we're on the lower end here with county officials in Multnomah County estimating turnout may be at 20%. What does that say to you, if anything?
I mean, it's not great. That's like diabolically low.
Do you think voters, do you think it's apathy, disengagement from politics? We talk about sometimes, because you represent progressive Democrats, bad time to be a Democrat right now?
It's a bad day to be a Democrat for sure. I always like being a Democrat. But yeah, it's a hard day to be a Democrat. I think, like, you know, Trump 1.0, it was like people, the first chance they got in 2017, it was like, what can I do? How can I fight this, right? So they, you know, it was like, let's vote, let's use our voices.
And Trump 2.0 now?
Trump 2.0 is a lot more like depressing, I think, for voters.
So what I'm hearing from you is a lot more uncertainty, at least.
A lot more uncertainty, and there just wasn't a ton to vote for, right? Like, we had this bond that, you know, people were skeptical about, as you can see by the 20-point hit it took.
Not a lot on the ballot, too.
Not a lot on the ballot, and not a lot of people spending money.
Got to leave it there. Annie Ellison, good
to
see you. We'll talk about it next year, right? Big race 2026 there. Appreciate it.
Cheers,
Thanks so much.
David. Thank you.
Hey, straight ahead on this special edition of KGW News, why Oregon's governor seems to be on board with diverting some of your kicker tax refunds to fighting wildfires. Matt, how's it looking out there? Matt?
You know, one of the benefits of going on at 9 o'clock at night this time of the year is that it's still light out, at least from the northwest corner of the lower 48 states. Look at that. Since some light out of the coast right now, the clouds are clearing, 53 degrees there. Still a few last gasp showers over the valley right now, but they won't be around tomorrow, and the weekend forecast for the holiday looks really good.
Oh, can't argue with that. Plus, why a Memorial Day tradition that goes back decades is now facing a boycott.
For the city to just basically rain on our parade, it's just not right.
With some charter boat captains in Depoe Bay saying this year they're sitting it out. We have much more news and new results as they come in ahead. We're back in just 2 minutes. We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
KGW's Evening News. Important stories to help you stay informed and keep your family safe.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pittawanich.
And I'm David Mulco.
Weather impact alerts to help you plan your week.
We need to be extra careful with anything that can throw a spark.
And a team of local journalists connected to our community. David Mulco, Christine Pittawanich, and Matt Zaffino. Your Evening News team. Tonight on KGW.
Welcome back. We're tracking the latest results in Oregon's special election tonight. The biggest talker, Portland Public Schools' $1.83 billion bond renewal, facing its closest margin since 2011 when it failed. Early results showing voters have accepted the proposal with just under 54% voting yes. Portland Public Schools declaring the victory for the bond less than an hour ago. Superintendent Kimberly Armstrong saying in a statement in part, quote, "We are incredibly grateful to the Portland community for once again standing with our students and saying yes to the future of public education." Portland Public School Board, by the way, incumbent Herman Green is on track to be unseated in Zone 4. Green has been on the board since 2021. Right now, Rochelle Chase Miller, who earned the teachers union endorsement, is out front there with 56%. Also, Columbia County voters were asked once again to step up after saying no twice to keep the jail operational. Looks like that's on track to pass. 64% saying yes in these early results. We'll keep you updated on that. Let's talk about Oregon Governor Tina Kotek now signaling support to withhold part of next year's tax kicker refund to cover the ballooning costs of fighting wildfires. Kotek suggests holding back $1 billion worth of the forecast $1.6 billion refund to help shift firefighting resources from urban to rural areas. Oregon law requires 2/3 of lawmakers to agree to suspend the refund, which means Democrats would need some Republican support. House Republican leader Christine Drazen firing back against that idea.
Yeah, the governor is making a decision she doesn't have to make that harms Oregonians. I mean, right now, Oregonians are struggling under the weight of the cost of living in this state. And the kicker absolutely supports them, absolutely helps them. And there are a lot of ways to fund wildfires in Oregon. And we figure it out each and every year.
Alma McCarty will take a deeper look at this issue with more from Representative Drazen. That's tonight on KGW News at 11. Okay, Matt, let's take a break from all that election news, talk about the weather. Memorial Day weekend, not that far away. And it sounds like it's looking pretty good.
It is looking really good. It's looking good outside right now, actually. Like I said earlier, one of the benefits of going out at this time of the night is at this time of the year, we get to see some clearing and it's still light out at the Oregon coast. Even though the sun has gone down, the light lingers. Beautiful scene, actually, from our Lincoln City sky cam. It's down to 53 degrees. It was just a really beautiful night. You look at these showers out here. At least they were showers. Notice how these cloud tops have all flattened out. That means that they've lost their vertical development. That's what they need to keep producing precipitation. The fact that they're flattening, they're going to thin out, pancake out, and be gone by morning. It should be a beautiful day. Meanwhile, in Portland, we're still fighting off a few showers. 57 degrees. There's rain over on the east side of town, and you can see it right here on Doppler radar from roughly I-205 eastward. We're getting rain out around Troutdale. It's not very heavy. And another shower up in Vancouver, again, mainly east of I-205, but it's there. It's going away, though. You can see up in the Cascades and the Gorge, a few sprinkles happening there. And if we widen out a little farther, there are still some showers pouring in from offshore. So it's going to take the overnight hours, I think, for these to really go away. The sun is down, and yet these showers are still forming. So that tells us that the air is still unstable enough to produce a few showers from roughly Columbia County northward and then also into southwest Washington. But again, by tomorrow, they should be basically out of here completely. 57 in Portland right now, but McMinnville is already down to 52, so it's getting chilly. Hood River is down to 54. And in fact, out in the Hood River Valley, there is a frost advisory up for tomorrow morning. Temperatures won't drop to freezing, not to 32, but they don't need to allow frost to form. You can get frost forming even when the air temperature is about 35 because it's just a little bit colder at the ground. We measure the temperature about 5 feet above. So again, frost advisory for the Hood River Valley tomorrow morning. We'll drop to 46 in Portland, but by 2 o'clock we're up to 63. By 5 o'clock, 68. It'll be mostly sunny, and it will be a warmer day than today compared to warmer day tomorrow compared to today. Now, here's the big picture. You see another system out here, right? Doesn't take long for that to come in. We'll get sunshine tomorrow ahead of it, but that will bring us rain tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. Here it comes. There it is right over us around the commute time on Thursday morning, but after that goes away, I think we're dry on Friday now. Friday showers have dissipated, split north and south, and then we stay dry until Monday afternoon when showers and thunderstorms will begin to form up and over the Cascades. But a major shift in our pattern because it's going to get a lot warmer. 74 Saturday, 82 Sunday, and 77 on Monday, even with the clouds developing with those scattered showers and thunderstorms. So big, big difference. Our high today was 63. Again, below average, 66 in the Dalles and Pendleton, and Medford the hot spot with that 69 today. Okay, outside right now, we've got some showers left over, but they'll be dissipating overnight. Freezing level 6,600 feet. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. Should be a beautiful day. Highs in the upper 60s. We cool it off to 65 on Friday. That's after 69 on Thursday, even with a shower in the morning. And then Saturday, we are off to the races for the weekend in the 70s. We're in the 80s on Sunday. Monday still in the mid to upper 70s. And then Tuesday still in the 70s. Even if we get more showers, it looks like it's going to stay warm once we get warm this weekend.
Oh, a lot of people are going to be happy with that 7-day. Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks so much. Let's get to your news headlines tonight. The principal of a private Catholic school in Northeast Portland has been fired weeks after a confrontation with a black family during which the principal called 911. This all has to do with their 4th grade son who was expelled by the school after the family says he was called a racial slur. And tonight, Libby Dowsett explains what new 911 audio reveals about the case.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Yes, I've got an emergency at 3240 Southeast 23rd. Parents at the school yelling and refusing to leave.
Former Principal Teresa Rast calls 911 from the Madeline School March 31st. You can hear the voices in the background as Rast answers the operator's questions.
Do you know what their names are?
No.
Okay, and are they white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
Second one.
Rast tells the operator she doesn't want to hang up. A few minutes later, she's heard interacting with the parents.
And you want to nail me to a cross over and over and over again, and it's not productive. I'm right here advocating for your child who did come sit in my chair in my office and does trust me. And that's fine. Well, then he acts like he does. Well, he acts like he does. Talks to me all the time. So, oh my God.
You can't hear the parents' voices clearly on the recording, but Kara Stoudemire Phillips and her husband Mike Phillips told us in person earlier this month they had rushed to the school to comfort their son after a racial slur may have been directed at him and to question how leadership was going to respond. They said they were met with defensiveness by then Principal Rast.
We were just wanting answers. And she stated that, if we don't trust her, then we can take him out. He can go somewhere else.
She yelled at us, if you don't trust me, then why do you even have him at the school?
Why do you want him to have this terrible relationship with the school? Then why do you have him here? Well, I'm the one leading the pack here. Sorry.
A few seconds later,
I'm sorry, you have to be able to partner with Father B and I if you want to be at the school.
Phillips telling KGW he questioned Principal Rast's motivation for calling police.
If it was a threat, how come it's fine now? Mm-hmm. You did that because you could. Mm-hmm. You did that because you understood the ramifications of it to me. And it's not right, it's not fair, and it could have turned out very different.
Portland police responded to the school but were told they were no longer needed. The couple's son was then expelled. The family told they needed to seek school elsewhere. Rast's attorney saying his client was reportedly put on leave for her own personal safety, now confirming she was fired. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Developing tonight, a Jewish teacher has filed a lawsuit alleging discrimination by Portland Public Schools and the Teachers Union. The Conservative Freedom Foundation filed the suit on behalf of an unnamed high school teacher who joined the district in 2023. The suit alleges the teacher's rights were violated when pro-Palestinian lesson plan materials were distributed last year. He wants a judge to declare the move unconstitutional and wants damages, alleging these suggested lessons unfairly demonized Jews and created a biased and unsafe environment. The Teachers Union removed the material from its website last June after pushback from Jewish community leaders. We've reached out to Portland Public and Teachers Union. Both declined to comment. In southern Oregon, investigators have wrapped up a multi-day search at a wild animal park, seizing more than 300 animals. Authorities say this followed a lengthy investigation into how the West Coast Game Park Safari near Bandon was caring for animals, along with questions about permits and business practices. Now, most of the animals were moved to sanctuaries or rescue centers, though at least 3 were euthanized. Records show the park had already faced recent violations, including malnourished big cats and food stored in trash cans contaminated by rodents.
To Washington now, where Governor Bob Ferguson signed the state's new budget into law. Washington's facing, of course, a multi-billion-dollar deficit, and legislators passed a budget that makes cuts to state services and raises taxes on the state's top investment earners, as well as most businesses. The gas tax also going up 6 cents a gallon. Here's some of what the governor said about where lawmakers landed.
I hear those concerns. I hear it loud and clear. We did our best in this budget to balance our approach and also try to take an approach that sets us up for the future.
Ferguson rejected earlier budget proposals during the legislative session, saying budget writers were relying on too many new taxes. He says he wants to see how these new taxes work and is not opposed to making changes in the future. In Salem, Oregon, lawmakers have passed a bill that prohibits housing discrimination based on immigration status. Supporters say it ensures that no one in Oregon will face housing insecurity because of where they were born. It also expands acceptable forms of identification for renters. That bill now heads to the governor's desk. Developing this evening on the Oregon coast, a decades-long Memorial Day tradition is now the target of a boycott, with some charter captains at odds with the city. Devin Haskins has the details from Depoe Bay.
The Fleet of Flowers has been a staple here in Depoe Bay for 80 years. It is a memorial at sea for those that have lost their lives to the water. But now charter boat companies and captains are using it as a means to get their voices heard by what they're calling unfair fees and regulations imposed by the city. This year, some charter companies are boycotting the annual tradition. Instead of taking part in the memorial at sea, they'll keep their boats tied to the docks in protest of new fees that they say are hurting their business. That includes a new storage fee for crab pots that in the past weren't charged and storage rules were more relaxed, and a fuel surcharge that captains say has them refueling in other ports to save money.
They're really trying to pass that on to the mortgage holders of Depoe Bay and businesses here, and you know, it's finally to that point where we need to say something. Enough is enough, and we're sick of it.
The city of Depoe Bay says that fees help cover services and maintenance at the harbor. The city wrote in a statement on its website that says claims of financial mismanagement are unfounded and that it routinely looks at fees and charges to keep the harbor viable. The Fleet of Flowers is still happening, just without several of those charter boats taking place, instead replaced by other boats. You see that bridge behind me? It'll be filled with hundreds of people watching as boats exit the harbor and then lay wreaths in the ocean in honor of those that have lost their lives at sea. And if you'd like to watch it, it is this Monday, Memorial Day, and it starts at 11. In Depoe Bay, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Wherever you stand on that issue, still important to honor the ones we've lost. That wraps up this special election night edition of KGW News. Be sure to join us at 11 for the latest results and reaction as they come in. And in the meantime, head to KGW.com or the KGW mobile app for up-to-the-minute results. I'm David Molko. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you right back here at 11 tonight. Take care.